Welcome to Episode 63, Awareness and Training, Part 3. At this stage, the focus shifts from design and delivery to proof, demonstrating that training actually works. Awareness programs have value only when they change behavior, and that change must be visible, measurable, and repeatable. Proof does not mean overwhelming auditors with paperwork. It means connecting data points that show cause and effect. When organizations can trace how learning outcomes reduce incidents, improve detection rates, or shorten response times, they move from assumption to assurance. Training earns credibility the same way any control does, through evidence that stands up to scrutiny. The first building block of that evidence is completion records with timestamp lineage. Each completion entry must show who took the training, when, and under which version of the content. Timestamp lineage confirms not just that someone finished a module, but that they completed the correct version tied to the policy in effect at that time. Imagine investigating an incident and confirming that every involved employee completed the latest course on data handling 3 months before. That record closes questions quickly. Without lineage, compliance looks like a blur. Accurate timestamps bring precision and trust, showing that training keeps pace with evolving requirements. From there, assessment scores and question analysis reveal what participants understood, not just what they attended. A raw score says little without context. Analysis of question performance identifies which concepts need reinforcement. For instance, if most learners miss the same scenario about handling external drives, that topic deserves a follow-up module. This approach turns testing into feedback rather than gatekeeping. The goal is learning quality, not pass rates. Over time, trend analysis shows which topics improve and which stall, guiding resource allocation. In this way, assessments evolve into diagnostic tools that keep awareness sharp and focused on real learning outcomes. Phishing metrics add another layer of behavioral evidence. Measuring both failure and improvement tells the full story: who clicked, who reported, and how patterns shift over time. Initial campaigns often show high failure rates, but success appears in the decline that follows. Reporting rates matter just as much as avoidance because they indicate active vigilance. Suppose an organization sees click rates drop by half and report rates double across 2 quarters. That data is proof of awareness in action. Phishing metrics provide a tangible link between education and performance, turning abstract training into observable defense behavior. Comprehensive evaluation also depends on understanding role coverage and gap identification. Coverage analysis compares training participation against workforce structure, every role, department, and contractor mapped against required modules. Gaps emerge where people have changed positions, joined recently, or operate in unmanaged systems. A coverage dashboard helps leaders see exposure not as missing checkboxes, but as untrained risk zones. For example, a regional office might lag in advanced awareness courses due to network restrictions. Identifying and closing these gaps ensures consistency across the enterprise. Visibility is the first step to equity. Everyone deserves the same preparation to act safely. Even well-structured programs need exception and waiver management with expiry tracking. Occasionally, employees may postpone or skip training due to medical leave, scheduling conflicts, or operational emergencies. Each exception must be logged with justification, approval, and expiration. Time-boxed waivers prevent temporary exceptions from becoming silent exemptions. A clear process records who approved the delay and when retraining is due. Without expiry tracking, exceptions turn into forgotten liabilities. Proper governance ensures flexibility without compromising accountability, showing that awareness programs respect context while maintaining integrity. Every waiver should end in completion, not complacency. Retraining after incidents or repeated failures demonstrates corrective action and continuous improvement. When someone is involved in a phishing error, data mishandling, or policy breach, retraining helps close the knowledge gap. These sessions are most effective when tailored to the specific lapse. A short follow-up explaining what went wrong and how to respond differently prevents recurrence. Documenting these events proves that training is not static but responsive. It also reinforces a culture of learning rather than punishment. When retraining is timely and empathetic, it strengthens both the control environment and employee trust, turning mistakes into practical learning loops. Evidence exports from learning systems bridge training operations with audit requirements. Learning management systems should produce standardized reports showing completion, scores, exceptions, and retraining outcomes. Exported evidence, formatted in consistent templates, allows auditors and internal reviewers to trace assurance quickly. For example, generating a report by department, date, and module version provides clear lineage for each control requirement. Automating these exports minimizes manual errors and ensures records stay synchronized with other compliance systems. When evidence can be produced on demand without chaos, auditors recognize maturity. Efficient data handling is itself a sign of operational control. Manager attestations and coaching records reinforce that learning is supported by leadership. Managers should periodically verify that their teams have completed required modules and provide coaching for observed gaps. These attestations create a dual layer of accountability: completion by the learner and confirmation by the supervisor. Coaching notes document how feedback was given and what improvement was expected. For instance, a team leader might record that 2 employees received guidance after mishandling attachments. Such records demonstrate that security culture is enforced through dialogue, not directives. Manager engagement transforms awareness into mentorship, anchoring the lessons in everyday operations. Vendor and contractor participation proofs ensure that the wider ecosystem shares your standards. Third-party personnel often access systems and data but fall outside direct oversight. Contracts should require evidence of equivalent training verified through completion summaries or certifications. A supplier unable to produce proof of awareness becomes a risk vector. For example, a managed support provider might show quarterly training completion logs aligned to your policies. Integrating these records with your assurance dashboard ensures full visibility across organizational boundaries. When third-party participation is tracked as rigorously as internal training, the entire supply chain becomes a more reliable extension of your enterprise. No evidence program is perfect, and recognizing common pitfalls is part of mastery. Frequent issues include incomplete records, inconsistent course versions, or reliance on outdated templates. Another recurring failure is treating metrics as ends instead of indicators, celebrating completion percentages without testing comprehension. Remediation begins with data hygiene. Verify sources, align formats, and update ownership. Encourage teams to treat every discrepancy as a learning opportunity rather than a compliance embarrassment. Over time, consistency replaces clutter. The measure of maturity is not the absence of gaps, but the speed and honesty with which they are corrected. Inevitably, auditors will ask questions, and credible responses depend on preparation. Auditors may request evidence of course alignment with policy, sampling of test results, or verification of waiver approvals. Credibility comes from clarity. Show the process, not just the product. For example, demonstrating how training content links to specific control requirements and how retraining decisions are logged builds trust. If discrepancies exist, acknowledge them with action plans instead of excuses. Auditors value transparency and control maturity more than perfection. When your team can explain the why behind every record, assurance conversations become collaboration rather than interrogation. Finally, governance cadence and continual updates sustain program relevance. Governance defines how often metrics are reviewed, who signs off on updates, and what triggers a redesign. Quarterly or semi-annual reviews help ensure that training reflects current policies, technologies, and threats. Continuous improvement cycles draw on lessons from incidents, audits, and learner feedback. A living governance rhythm turns training from a static requirement into a managed capability. It reminds the organization that awareness, like risk, is never finished. It must adapt as environments evolve and expectations rise. In closing, evidence of changed behavior is the ultimate proof that awareness programs work. Completion, scoring, and metrics all matter, but the real measure is what people do differently after learning. When reports show fewer repeated incidents, faster detection, and stronger reporting habits, the numbers become stories of progress. Awareness programs exist to change actions, not just minds. The day employees act safely by instinct because training shaped their judgment is the day evidence becomes more than data. It becomes confidence, earned one decision at a time. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.